Hey guys, it's been quite a while since I last did a video and plans have changed, and yes, the thumbnail is correct. I am selling my bus. Hey everyone, it's been a long time since I posted a video, so I thought it was about time I gave you all an update about what's been happening in the last few months. So I took a break from working on the bus around October last year so that I could spend some time learning how to weld, because I wanted to be able to do the rest of the rust repairs on my own. So I wanted to take some time to practice my welding skills before proceeding with any more bus work. And also that time of year is usually the busiest time of year with my business because people are buying gifts for Christmas, etc. So between October and December, I was pretty busy, pretty much working full-time, filling orders with my business. So I didn't really have a lot of time to work on the bus or even practice my welding, so there wasn't really much to report. And at the same time, I had another health scare. I found a lump under my arm. It's the same arm where I've had 2 melanoma skin cancers removed previously. So the concern was that the cancer had spread to the lymph nodes. So I spent a couple of stressful months back and forth to doctors, getting scans, had a biopsy done. In the end, it was good news because it wasn't cancer, thankfully, but the scans actually showed up some other unexpected things, which then required me to have another whole bunch of tests. Thankfully, most of it's pretty much sorted out now, but it was a pretty stressful few months, and it was just another reminder of how unpredictable life is and how important it is to enjoy the time that we have now and make the most of it, because we never really know what's around the corner. And the medical issues kind of capped off what had been a tough year generally. COVID pretty much wreaked havoc on my income. Up until last year, my business had relied pretty heavily on regular income from my market stall. And when COVID hit, a lot of those markets, and especially the big events where I would normally make most of my money, all got cancelled. And in addition to that, I also lost income through my casual day job. I mean, thankfully, I didn't lose my job. I was very grateful to be able to keep that, but I didn't get to work as many shifts as I otherwise would have. So even though, I still managed to get by and I was still able to get some income coming in, it was just another reminder of, I guess, the relative financial insecurity of the sort of work that I do, and definitely made me start to question, the way that I was running my business and my priorities in terms of the sort of lifestyle that I wanted and what I wanted to spend my money on. I'd been having doubts about the big bus for a while, even before all of this happened, especially about whether I was actually going to be able to afford to maintain it in the long term. Big buses can cost pretty big dollars when they break down. If they need towing, it's a big expense. And if you're someone like me who doesn't really have any real mechanical knowledge or the skills to do repairs myself, it can be pretty stressful. I kept telling myself that, I would be able to grow my business sufficiently over time, and by the time my bus was finished and I was ready to hit the road, I'd have enough of an emergency fund saved, and with that and being able to pick up extra work on the road as I travelled, I just thought, I'd probably be okay and I'd be able to manage it financially. The reality is, particularly after this past year, I'm a lot less confident about that now. I think money will always be very tight, and I would always have that worry in the back of my mind that, I wouldn't be able to afford major repairs on the bus in the longer term. Having the big bus alone was always going to be a challenge, but the other thing that's become clear to me particularly in the last few months, is that I really need to be able to get into town fairly regularly for appointments and checkups and things, and that would just be a lot more difficult with the big bus unless I had a smaller vehicle as well to be able to get around in. And originally it was my plan to tow a little car behind the bus so that I would have that as the daily driver and I'd be able to get into town and do whatever I needed to do. But, the reality is I just can't afford the registration, insurance and maintenance costs of 2 vehicles. And, I'm concerned enough about being able to afford the bus itself. There's no way I'm going to be able to afford a bus and a car. So that's just not an option for me. And, you know, in addition to that, even though the major health stuff was sorted out in the last couple of months, I'm still having ongoing issues with arthritis and tendonitis in my arms, especially as I get older, and I just need to be more mindful about what I'm going to be physically capable of in the longer term. Sounds a bit morbid to think about that, but you know, perhaps if I was in my 20s, had lots of energy and was really fit and healthy, no medical issues at all, then yep, fine, I'd be a bit more confident about just getting on with it and being able to handle stuff with the big bus. But you know, as I get older, the reality is you do have to start thinking about these things. And you know, I just feel life is short and it's throwing enough curveballs at me as it is, without having the added constant worry of, can I afford to keep my house on the road long term? So I've decided, after a lot of soul searching, that I'm going to sell the bus. Now, I'm not giving up on my dream of bus life altogether, no way. I'm just going to change the way I go about making that life happen. And so I've decided to sell the big bus and downsize to something smaller that's going to be both physically and financially easier for me to manage in the longer term. So, you know, it was a hard decision because obviously I've put a lot of work and a lot of money into this bus, and it feels a bit sad to be, you know, selling it after literally putting so much blood, sweat and tears into the project. But I also know from past experience what it's like to persist with something that you know isn't right for you just because you've invested so much in it. And I don't want to make that mistake again. So yes, I could continue the work on the bus and, you know, finish converting it and sell it as a completed motorhome, and maybe I would get a decent amount for it if I did that. But there's no guarantee of that. The other thing is, it would take me a long time to finish it. I mean, it would probably take me at least a year to finish it. And, you know, now more than ever, I just want to get out on the road as soon as I can. I don't want to spend a year building a bus that's essentially going to be for someone else and then get something else and start again for me. I want to build my house now so that I can get out on the road and enjoy life as soon as possible. I would rather just cut my losses and sell the bus as it is, so that I can spend the money I have left, and while I still have my health, to build something that I know is going to be better suited to my needs. And you know, the last couple of years have not been wasted. I've learned so much working on the bus. I've learned heaps of new skills that I didn't have before. And even though I'm not really looking forward to stripping another bus and doing all that work all over again, hopefully having done it before and knowing what I know now means that the second time around, things might go a little bit more smoothly and a little bit more quickly. Time will tell.